Hi everyone, welcome to Grow Roots. This is Shannon, and today I am going to take you on a container garden tour of my small space garden in North Texas. And here is the garden tour you are going to want to watch if you have a small space for gardening, if you live in extreme heat like I do in North Texas, and if you love flowers and container gardening. It's all in this tour for you. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. I am super close to 5,000 subscribers, so give a girl a thumbs up and a subscribe, comment down below, and let's get started with my August container garden tour. Thank you everyone for joining me today, and I'm so excited to show you what I have going on with my containers this year. It is mid to late August, and we have had a brutal summer here in North Texas, exactly where I live. We have had now over 30 days of 100-degree plus temperatures. This last week, we haven't seen below 104 degrees, okay? So we've had 7 straight days of 104-degree plus temperatures. And so you are going to see some plants struggling, but I'm so proud of still what I am seeing in this 100-degree heat, especially in my containers, because if you are a container gardener or you like to plant things in pots, you know that it's hard to make sure that these plants get enough water in the heat. And yes, I am watering every single day. They are I think actually all of my containers now, well, no, that's not true. 99% of my containers right now are on drip irrigation, but you know, still it's very difficult. These plants that you see are the toughest of the tough, and that is why I am so excited to show them to you today. Because if you live in super hot climates, you live in a small space, I maximize my small space that I have for gardening with my containers. And so I have it's probably 65 or 70 containers now with mostly ornamental flowers in them. And so let me get started. This is my backyard, and I have a lovely borrowed view because I back up to a creek. So that's amazing. But also I just have very limited space for gardening back here. And so all of what you see here in the forefront is containers. So let me start with this one, and you know, you're going to see something struggling just a little bit, but I'm just, again, so proud. What you see is the centerpiece here. This vine is black-eyed Susan vine, and so yes, you're going to see some sun scorch. It just happens when you have 100-degree plus temperatures like we do. There's also a tiny bit of chlorosis going on here, but all in all, it is doing well. It's surviving, right? And if I can get it to survive, in the next month, it will start flowering and have yellow flowers all over it in the fall. Black-eyed Susan vine, for most of you, will bloom all season long. But here in Texas, when we get over 100 degrees, it will stop blooming. Many of these do, and it will start blooming again once our temperatures start cooling off. So down below, you can see I have some zinnias, and I also have lantana. So zinnias and lantana are two of the toughest annuals that you can plant in terms of heat tolerance, and some drought tolerance as well. I've had some irrigation issues, and sometimes I'm finding like these little drip irrigation tubes aren't working the way that they're supposed to, and I've had to replace some of them. And so they still are going strong. They can go a couple of days without water if I catch it early and fix the irrigation and start watering them again. But these particular zinnias that you see, I grew from seed. Winter sowing is my jam, and I have a whole winter sowing playlist if you want to check that out. But these are a new variety that I tried this year. These were purchased from Park Seed, and this is the Zinnia Double Brilliant Zahara, and it's a mix. So there's orange, there's yellow, and then there's a pink one, but I think the pink, well, wait, no, The pink one is now gone. I just have the orange and yellow one that's left. But look at this. I mean, it's really doing quite remarkable in this heat. It's putting on new blooms in 100-degree heat, so it's doing well. This is Dallas Red Lantana. Lantana is just absolutely fabulous. Some of my Lantana has stopped blooming in this heat, but this one is the one that's performing the best out of all of them that I planted, this Dallas Red. So it's just doing wonderful. Right next to it, I have an herb garden. You can't even see the pot. I have oregano and apple mint is mostly what you see here. I have lemon thyme in there somewhere, but anyway, this apple mint has these sweet little whitish purple blooms, and little tiny bees love it. So there's a species of bees that's super tiny, and they just are all over this all day long. And then the oregano is blooming too, which I've never had oregano bloom for me before. And so this is just lovely. I just love it. And it's doing, these herbs are doing wonderful. I have a container right next to it that has Veronica, which is actually a perennial. Now, a portion of this Veronica has died back. I left that on there. I need to trim this off. But this part of the Veronica, gosh, you can barely see it around the zinnias, but this Veronica, ooh, look how tall that is. Holy moly. This, I guess I need to deadhead that. The blooms just kind of keep on going if you don't deadhead them. So that's kind of what you see. But that is Veronica. It does very, very well in our Texas heat. I have it planted in another portion of my garden, in my shed garden. And oh, look at that sweet bloom. It's a perennial here, and it just does really well. And it apparently does okay in a container, except, you know, a portion of this did die back. Again, I have more zinnias here. These are profusion zinnias, all grown from seed. And these are doing, you know, quite well. Here is a rock star. So this is a rock star in the heat. This is Buddy Purple Gomphrena. And this is my favorite variety of Gomphrena that I've grown because it is a compact variety. And you're saying, Shannon, it's covering the entire container. How is that compact? Well, I'm going to show you Gomphrena globosa in a moment. That is not compact. This has a much more compact habit. The leaves are kind of it's kind of bushier. In my opinion, it has more blooms. You can just see that pop so much better. And I love this color. I got these seeds from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and it's just doing fantastic. There was a verbena in there, but it has swallowed it. And the verbena really kind of struggled. I don't know if it was aphids or spider mites, but it definitely, I started spraying, but it was too late for this guy. And so the verbena is pretty much toast. Speaking of a container that's kind of toast, it's this one. I have Verbena bonariensis, which is a perennial, and it's a rock star plant. Don't get me wrong. It's just this particular Verbena bonariensis has been hit hard with aphids and I think spider mites. So I have tried spraying it. It hasn't been enough. I've tried spraying it with water, but you can see kind of what's going on there. There's just all kinds of things. It's a plant that's in stress. So now it's kind of taken over by all kinds of pests. And so it's still blooming, which is, you know, a tribute to its rock star personality or characteristic, but it is on the struggle bus. And I admit that if I had kept on my spraying, I probably would not be seeing this right now. But it just is what it is. You do what you can. And as a result too, this is Superbena Cobalt. It's an unbelievable Superbena, but I think it's all started on this Verbena bonariensis, and then the aphids moved to the Superbena Cobalt, and I have been trying recently to spray it, but it's just on the struggle bus, and it's not because of the heat, it's because of the pests. Okay, so along with the heat comes the pests, and so if you don't keep up on that, then they will kind of take over some of the plants, and that's just what happens. But those are beautiful blooms, and Superbena is definitely in my top 5 for heat tolerant annuals to plant here. It kind of could be a perennial in my area, but technically an annual. It's just this one is overrun with some aphids. So moving on, here is the Gomphrena globosa. This is the Gomphrena globosa mix. Again, Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and you can just see it's kind of, It's not as bushy, it's not as compact, but also very kind of dreamy and what's the word I'm looking for? It's just airy and beautiful, and it sways with the wind, and these are the mix of colors. So you can see it comes in pink and white, and then that same color that the Buddy Purple Gomphrena is. It's just not as compact of a habit, but I love it, and it's an absolute rock star. Pest resistant, heat tolerant, drought tolerant, anything you can think of, this plant is it. It is a rock star. And then I have some strawberries that are still going. I have balloon flower that has gone to seed, so that's super fun. Balloon flower is a spring blooming, and after that it kind of goes dormant in the heat, comes right back every year, and then I have that planted with strawberries. So yeah, it's lovely. Over here, I have another variety of zinnia. This is one of my favorite varieties. This is the Zinnia Profusion Hot Cherry. And as a result of the heat, the blooms are a lot smaller on this plant than they typically would be. But look at all of these buds, you guys. This is just a testament to zinnias and how heat tolerant they are. They are just absolute rock stars in the heat. And again, you might see smaller blooms, but my bloom production is not affected whatsoever. The Zinnia Profusion Hot Cherry is just unbelievable, wonderful plant. It's planted with some Sweet William and some Profusion zinnias that are just kind of hanging on right now, but that's what's going on there. Here's another rock star. This is bat-faced Kufia. I actually bought this plant at Callaway's, and it kind of looks like a bat. Look at that. Oh my gosh. But this is a hummingbird magnet. We're going to be getting hummingbird migration here pretty soon, and they are going to love this plant. They love the red of this plant and the trumpet shape of the blooms. And again, I had an irrigation issue with this, and I had to replace my little emitter. And so this plant died back when that happened. And look at it now. you just change make sure it starts getting water again, and it bounces right back. So it's super, super great too. This container is much like the other one that I showed you first. It's the Dallas Red Lantana, the zinnias, the same Zinnia Brilliant Zahara. And then I have some verbena in here. They were planted with the other one as well, but the other verbena died. You could see there was a dieback. I do have an active irrigation issue on this one. It just doesn't put out enough water, so I'm hand watering it as well every day. But anyway, same thing, black-eyed Susan vine. It's hanging in, but it will, look, oh, it tried to put on a bud. That's what that is, but no, like it's too hot. But we will see blooms on that if I can keep that plant alive until it cools down in a few weeks. These guys are struggling. I just struggle with succulents. This is ice plant. I do not have these on irrigation because that's typically what I do. I overwater with succulents. These guys might be underwatered now. I don't even know. This is Mr. Goodbud Sedum. Struggle bus. Those are hens and chicks. Struggle bus. Anyway, it's just, we can't succeed in everything all the time. But that succulents are the one thing that I do struggle with. Here is another lantana. This one was supposed to be a peach lantana from the All Stars brand from Callaway's, and again, it's putting on new buds in this heat, but they're struggling a little bit. Yeah, and it's doing okay. It's just struggling a little bit. Coming on, I have plumbago, Cape plumbago. This is the annual variety of plumbago. I saw this all over California when I went to California this summer, and then Hawaii last year. They have this plant everywhere. It's a perennial in those locations, in zones 9 and 10, I think, and 11. Here it is an annual, but it is super heat tolerant, loves the heat, putting on blooms. Just absolute beautiful blooms. So that's a lovely, lovely plant. This one is Azuratum leda, grown from seed. It's not in bloom right now, and that's kind of what I'm finding with a lot of my less heat tolerant plants. They'll just stop the bloom production to save the plant. And you can see the plant's doing lovely. Like, that's lovely foliage. It's not burning, nothing. I'm loving that. But just not blooming right now. Hopefully in the fall when it cools down, this guy will bloom. Now coming up on this. So one of these guys is struggling and one is not. And it's, again, an irrigation issue that I found just a couple days ago. This guy stopped getting water. And so you can see what happens when they go a couple of days in the Texas heat with no water. You find your irrigation issues really quickly, but it's going to bounce back. It's doing fine. We've got new growth. But this, I didn't even tell you what it was. I'm so sorry. This is butterfly pea vine. What a beautiful vine, you guys. This is an annual vine, and it puts off these beautiful blue. The shape of the flower is hard to describe, but I'll pop a picture on the screen. I did get this in full bloom about a week and a half ago. But they are so beautiful. What a cool vine this is. It's climbing on this little Ferris wheel trellis, and I, again, grew from seed. The cool thing about these flowers is that you can make a butterfly pea tea out of them. It's actually good for you, and it turns the water blue, which is super fun. And then in addition to that, it magically changes color when you add something acidic to it. I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to make myself, I've gathered all of my dried flowers. I have quite a few to make some butterfly pea tea. Check out, I'll be posting a video soon on making that and seeing how that does. But it's doing good. It's heat tolerant, but like I said, like goes a couple of days without water and this is what you see. But it's going to bounce back. Coming over here, I just love this portion of my container garden right now. This back here, these are all limelight hydrangeas. There's actually a couple of these, and I think this one is one of them that's a little lime. These were all propagations that I made from existing limelight hydrangeas. And this is such a cool combination to see because I've got new blooms, which surprises me greatly. I don't know of another season where it's been this hot where I have seen limelight hydrangeas start blooming in the heat. It's putting on new blooms, which is incredible. But here's a new bloom, and they're beautiful and white and not sunburned and crispy yet. But here's the blooms that were earlier in the season, and they are crispy. And that's just what happens here in our Texas heat. It just, they just burn. And also this poor thing, I have tried to catch these grasshoppers and I have been unsuccessful, but I have caught the grasshoppers. That's what's eating this plant and these leaves. This poor thing, I do feel badly, and I'm trying to take that grasshopper out because it's huge. And there might be multiple, who knows. But anyway, that's what's eating it. But I have 3 different containers of limelight hydrangeas there. And that's my limelight hydrangea alley. That's where they perform the best. And so I just keep them there. And then new to the container garden, which they won't be here for long, this was sent to me by Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs. Jazz Hands Loropetalum, and this has turned out to be what a beautiful shrub this is. This new growth is a testament to the fact that it is a very heat tolerant shrub. It will work here in Texas, and I love the variegated leaves. Oh my goodness, I kind of expected this plant to be more purple than it was, as Loropetalum are typically a purple foliage. I am finding this plant in this location is more of a green foliage, and then that new growth is purple, or purplish pink. But look at that combination with the limelight hydrangeas. That's a gorgeous combination right there. And I'm thinking about just keeping the Loropetalum in this container with these limelights because it looks so gorgeous. But I do have plans to plant it in a part sun garden on the side of my house. I don't know though, like this is just so beautiful. I have a Mr. Smooth Silverthorn here that, again, Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs sent this to me. And it's brand new, just a little baby. But honestly, the Jazz Hands was the same size as the Silverthorn. And this guy is just kind of in survival mode. It's doing okay. You can see the leaves are curling. That's a sign of heat stress. I don't think there's any pests, honestly. It's just the leaf curling is the sun. But the underneath is perfect. It's just fine. It's getting enough water. It's just kind of, hopefully working on establishing those roots and getting through this first season as just a little baby in extreme heat. And then I have another Jazz Hands Loropetalum there as well. I don't know why this one is smaller than this one. Do you see that? they're close, but anyway, they are doing amazing, and I just love these jazz hands. Here is another lantana. This is another one of those peach lantanas from the All-Star brand from Callaway's. So yeah, much more peach color. Again, not flowering or blooming significantly right now. Probably a little bit of pest damage. There's aphids or spider mites there, but it just is what it is. I had a Gomphrena there. It's not enough sunlight, so that's why you see that like weeping habit of the Gomphrena. Coming over here in a container, I have Confederate star jasmine growing up this pole, and it's going crazy. Confederate star jasmine does very, very well in the heat. And planted with it is Perennia. So this Perennia definitely is a heat tolerant annual. It doesn't love this container maybe, or maybe it doesn't love the fact that it's supposed to be part shade, but maybe not getting enough sun here. But anyway, it's alive. And I have found that I do need to water it and make sure it's well watered in order to look like this. It will wilt and not do well if it doesn't get water. And then this one is it's a form of a variety of purple heart tradescantia, but a more compact version. And I do not remember the name. My friend Tony from Tony's Signature Garden, she gave me a cutting of this, and it's spectacular. I love this even better than my purple heart because of the growth habit. And these were just cuttings. I just put them in the soil and they just took right away. They're now rooted in there and they're doing lovely. And there's some dark opal purple basil that's also in this container doing well. I have some containers over here. This is just one of my house plants. I think it's a Dracula. This is a begonia that it was on my front porch, and on my front porch it got more sun. Here in the backyard it gets less sun, so I see less blooms, but it's an awesome begonia, super heat tolerant, super tough. It's just it's loving life right now, except not bloom production is a little bit low due to the heat probably, and a little bit of a lack of sun because this is almost full shade right here. And then this is a Proven Winners hosta sent to me by Proven Winners Perennials. This is probably one of the most beautiful hostas I've ever seen. It's still in the Proven Winners container. I haven't planted it. I will be planting it in the landscape when it cools down. It's just not the right time. So I'm just keeping it here in the shade, well watered. You can see that it bloomed. It was absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Oh, but this is this particular variety, I'm so sorry. This is the Proven Winners Hope Springs Eternal hosta. And it's just, look at those wavy curly edges with the cream edges and then that bluish greenish color in the middle. It's just spectacular. One of the most beautiful hostas I've ever seen, and it's doing amazing in this heat. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to call attention to these containers. I have autumn ferns in hanging baskets this year. These are perennial ferns that do awesome here in my garden anyway, and they can be evergreen depending on our winter. And so I just thought, wow, wouldn't it be awesome to have hanging baskets with ferns on them that I can keep all year round and they would be evergreen. So that's my experiment. They're doing really well. I have a begonia in that one, and the begonia is struggling just a little bit in the heat, but the other one on the other side is also an autumn fern, and they are doing lovely. Coming over here, I have a Cascading Hydrangea, the Fairy Trail Fresco right here. I have some hostas in containers in my shade garden over here. Some hostas are doing great, like this one. This is Proven Winners Shadowland Diamond Lake. These are huge, huge, huge leaves, and it's doing well. You're gonna expect some sunburn and some crispiness on hostas in North Texas at this time of year, but this plant is exceeding my expectations for hosta, and so it's doing awesome. And then this one is Proven Winners Shadowland Woo La La, and it is on the struggle bus big time. A little bit of new growth, but there's something going on in this container that I haven't figured out yet. I'm going to be repotting it, giving it new soil, all the things, and hopefully I'll figure things out in the fall when it cools down. I do also have 6 of the Proven winners, Let's Dance Sky View hydrangeas that are sitting right here, kind of in a holding area because they will get planted in the ground in a different location. But Proven winners, Color Choice Shrubs sent these to me, and they really are doing spectacular. So the blooms are done, which is totally fine. You can snip those off if you don't like them. I don't mind them at all. But this is Proven Winner's first continuous blooming Hydrangea macrophylla. And so this is a brand new bloom that it put on in 100-degree heat and new growth, all the things. Like, they're doing wonderful here. We can grow hydrangeas here in North Texas, and they can do well. And I'm here to prove that. I have a whole video about how to take care of your Hydrangea macrophyllas or big leaf hydrangeas. And so I can pop the link on the screen if you're interested in watching that video. But this one is huge. I've got another one hidden right here that's huge, and another one right here. So you can see all 6 of them that they sent me are doing very well. And then here's another hosta. This one's struggling just a bit. And then this one's doing great. The Elabroa hosta is doing great. So it's just so interesting with those hostas. But I'm gonna figure things out here in the fall. Okay, I cannot leave my backyard without showing you these containers. This is my plumeria. Wow, it has gotten huge. It is in a container there that kind of, you know, surrounds my patio furniture. And these were given to me last year by my friend Peggy at church. She didn't have enough room for them. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking I might be running out of room. I don't know how I'm going to put this in my home in the wintertime, y'all. We're going to figure it out though, because this is just one of the most beautiful plants you could even imagine. They're, you know, they can survive here in Texas. And this one way up here, oh my goodness, look at that. Can you see that bloom stalk? I can't even get up there with my camera, but it has so many bloom stalks, even right here in the shade. And it's just the most wonderful plumeria I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. Peggy, if you're watching, just thank you for this amazing gift. It's just 1 year ago that you gifted that to me, and such a treasure. And she gifted me this one as well, which is a little bit smaller, but still doing very well, still giving wonderful blooms in this 100-degree heat. I did want to show you though, like the leaves will sun scorch. And I have found that if you give it plumeria fertilizer, or this year I'm just using the Proven Winners water soluble fertilizer once a week, after it gets some fertilizer, it greens back up again. Like, this is never going to green up right here. It's dead. It's okay. Not all of the leaves are that way though. A lot of them are still looking pretty good. So I'm not worried about it. I just kind of expect a little bit of sun scorch. Okay, so it's okay. It's okay. But fertilizer, or a lot of people use Epsom salt as well, just on plumerias, you guys. I'm not saying any other plant, but I've followed a lot of plumeria boards, and to prevent the sun scorch, people are saying use Epsom salt or use plumeria fertilizer once a week. Even in this heat, it does help it green up just a little bit and prevent that sun scorch. So just 2 more containers back here, and then I'm going to take you in my front garden, I promise. But here is my Japanese maple. This is Orangiola Japanese maple, planted exactly 1 year ago. Actually, not even. In October it will be 1 year. So it's 10 months ago. Doing amazing. It is definitely in a shade location. It gets a little bit of morning sun, as you can see, but that lacy foliage, weeping habit, absolutely beautiful, super drought tolerant, and it's only been here in this garden for 10 months. So it's just doing wonderful, and planted in a container on the side of my shed. And then coming over, I have another plant to show you in a container. Again, doing marvelous. This is an Alexandrina magnolia. And again, talking about irrigation issues, I did have some irrigation issues that I didn't really catch in time, and I thought I was going to lose this plant. It completely defoliated, 100% defoliated, but now 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I've got new growth. everywhere. And look at how healthy that new growth looks. So really the difference is just water. If they don't get water, they're gonna die. If they get water, they're gonna live, as long as they're heat tolerant, which this Alexandrina magnolia is. And of course, I haven't mentioned Chloe, but she is our backyard garden cat. She is the most precious thing ever, but she joins me on all of my backyard garden tours and my container garden tour. But this concludes the backyard. I'm going to take you to my front yard. I have even more containers to show you that are doing amazing, so hang tight. So here I am walking out my front door, and immediately you can see I have a 3-tier planter. Let me see if I can get you guys a good close-up of that. I love my 3-tier planter. I got it for sale from someone in the neighborhood for only $50. And so I love this, and I'm trying to fill it now with everything that kind of these are mostly perennials, just a couple of things that will die back, but it's doing wonderful. So one of the things, this is an annual for us anyway, in zone 8A, foxtail fern, super heat tolerant, loves the heat. I love this fern. It's probably my favorite fern. I wish it was perennial, but it's not. And that's okay. I can typically find them on clearance at H-E-B every year. And so these guys were $1.25 at the beginning of this season. And now you can see they're just unbelievable. I have another one of these proven winners, hosta, the Hope Springs Eternal. And it's still in the proven winners pot, but it's perfect here in this location until I plant it in my shed garden, and it's doing wonderful. What a beautiful hosta that is. I have another kind of hosta here. This is given to me by my friend Stacy, and I don't remember. I want to say these are blue mouse ears, because I saw some in Lowe's and I almost picked more up, and I should have. I just should have. But Stacy gave me some of hers, and they're doing pretty well. And then I have variegated liriope in there, which is also another wonderful plant, and they survive in the containers just fine. I have a heuchera here, or also known as coral bells. It's got lots of new growth. So look at that. Don't look at this. The growth that was from the beginning of the season is tired and crispy. It just is. So I could definitely go in right now and prune that, except I'm not. I'm not going to do anything in this extreme heat. I'm just going to let the crispiness be, and then hope this new stuff does okay without getting crispy. Because hopefully there is hope that in about 3 weeks we're done with this heat, maybe this extreme heat anyway. But anyway, coral bells, they do pretty good in containers here in North Texas. And then this is Carex, another real rock star plant in the heat, and I love the texture. This type of Carex is Evercolor Everoro, and just a lovely Carex. And then on top here, this is, I believe this was, I don't remember which fern this was, y'all. This is an annual fern, but it was so tough last year. I only brought it in when we had our ice storm, and 1 or 2 weeks of temps like that got down to, I think, 9 degrees Fahrenheit. But other than that, it stayed out from multiple hard freezes in this container and did just fine. And it's doing well. There's just a little bit of burn, no biggie. Coming around here, this is a beautiful, beautiful plant, and you might look at it and say, oh, it's toast, Shannon. It's toast. I told you those hydrangeas can't survive the heat. But I'm not worried about this. I've seen this before. This is a variegated Lacecap hydrangea. Just look at this foliage. Even though some edges are getting crispy, we do have new growth, okay? So that's telling me the plant is just fine. This is just what happens. It gets morning sun that comes in right here. So that's why you see a majority of these brown crispy leaves. And if you notice, it's the older leaves, again, that are getting crispy, not the new growth, okay? Still new growth, no big deal. But yeah, it's definitely just really, really hot here. And hydrangeas sometimes will do that. And I'm not going to prune off the crispiness. I'm going to leave that because it shades the rest of the plant inside. So I'm going to just leave that. And I know that in a few months, we're going to get a freeze. It's going to start to defoliate, and I won't see those brown crispy leaves anymore. And the plant's going to regenerate and recuperate next year just fine. It's just visual. It's just, that's all that it is. That brown crispiness has nothing to do with the health of the plant right now. It's just the response to the heat, and it's going to be just fine when it grows back next year. And then this is another Hydrangea macrophylla, and it's struggling. It's just chlorosis pretty bad, honestly. And I need to go in a little bit more. I just did a dose of chelated iron last week. So yeah, I need to follow up and do another dose of that, but it's doing fine. These are the old blooms. They've turned green. They're not crispy. And in the fall, really just a few more months, these guys are going to turn this beautiful magenta color. The pink is already showing up on these leaves, but it's going to turn a dark magenta color when you leave the blooms on, and it's just absolutely spectacular. So that's why I leave the blooms on my hydrangeas, because I love the look of them in the fall if they don't get crispy, which these guys mostly have not. So it's surviving. We're going to turn around and I'm going to show you I have a topiary. This is my evergreen for the porch, my front porch. This is variegated English ivy, and it's just on a kind of a trellis there, and it's doing pretty well. This was all white, if you can see, and that part burned. So I think the whiter the foliage, the more crispy the leaves can turn. And that's also why you're seeing some of these, because the white foliage burns, and that makes sense. It burns more in the sun than the green foliage does. So just an FYI on that, for those who love variegated foliage like me. This is an azalea. I believe this is autumn sunset. I got a couple of blooms last week, and the blooms are spent, but it did try to bloom for me. There's a little bit of scorch going on. I'm not worried about that, but underneath it, I also have a beautiful plant, a variegated vinca major. And so I just love that. I popped it in this container, and it hangs over the edge, and it's just beautiful. I have some regular vinca, periwinkle, growing in this container. Periwinkle here is only getting part sun at best, maybe a couple hours of sun. But this plant is doing just fine. And summer heat-wise, vinca do very, very, very well. And I'm just surprised. Like, this is a beautiful, I just got this at Walmart. This was just like your $1.25. I got like 2 of them and planted them there, and they're doing beautiful. Okay, so here's one of my favorite containers. One of my favorite annual flowers that I'm gonna say is, perfect for the heat. And this is Celosia, or Dracula Celosia. Wow, also known as coxcomb. But look at this. Look, it's as big as my hand, maybe as big as, a child's head. And these blooms right here have been blooming since the spring. Okay, it's not burning in the sun. It's not doing anything like that. And it's going to be gorgeous this fall. These guys also, I had a Dracula Celosia last October for Halloween, okay, in this container. It seeded itself. It obviously died in the winter, but it seeded itself. And this is what you're seeing. The seedlings started coming up right before our ice storm hit in January. I covered the seedlings with just a bucket. I left them out here, covered them with a bucket. They survived, and this is the result of that. They are so tough, you guys. These seedlings, this plant is just so incredibly tough. Now, I do have to stake these up in this heat, and they kind of wilt in the afternoon. That makes the stalk a little weak, and so they are all staked up. But they are just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And yes, we've got some brown crispy leaves. I'm leaving them because, again, it shades the roots. But wow, what a flower that I am just blown away by. This is so much bigger than how it was last year because it has all of these seedlings in it. But it's so beautiful. And what a cool, like, Halloween kind of flower too. It's beautiful. I highly recommend Dracula Celosia. Coming over here, let's see. I have a container that you can't even see, but it has this Sweetheart Kisses verbena doing wonderfully. And then it also has this double Zahara salmon. And the double Zahara salmon is one of my favorite, again, a new one to me this year, purchased from Park Seeds. And it's been remarkable. The blooms are slightly smaller than normal, but it looks so much like a dahlia and so much easier to grow than a dahlia. I just love this zinnia. It's so beautiful. And I've got buds in this 105-degree heat. It's just remarkable. And then I've got Creeping Jenny in that container as well, but it's doing, oh, look at that bee. He just loves that verbena. Oh, I love these bumblebees. They're just so beautiful. More of that, I know it's in my garden, but I have much more of that buddy purple Gomphrena, and you can see what a rock star that is. In the garden or in the container, it's a rock star. I also have this guy. This is Carolina Sapphire Cypress. It needs to be pruned. It's a 3-ball topiary. Definitely needing to be pruned, but definitely not the right time to prune that right now. But it's definitely a rock star in this heat, doing awesome. That wonderful icy blue foliage or icy green foliage, and it smells good in my opinion. I love the herbal smell that it gives off, and I think it's a lovely staple, and it's evergreen in my garden, so it's just doing lovely. I do have one container in this garden, and it's just not doing well. So I had a plant, a Proven Winners annual, that could have been a perennial for me because it goes down to zone 7, but it kicked the dust, or what should I say? It bit the dust, kicked the bucket, bit the dust in the 100-degree heat. It actually did really, really well until we had this last week that was all 104 plus, and that's when it decided that it was just done. This is Waikiki Sunset. It was a beautiful plant. I will try this again, probably in a more shaded location. This is full sun. And then I have some pink pentas that are growing here. These are actually the Proven Winners Sunstar Rose pentas. And when I had Supertunias here, when they all died off, then I planted this Sunstar pentas, and no blooms like currently. I probably should deadhead that one because that one's done, but I have new blooms starting, I think, and so we'll just have to see about that plant. That container is not doing the best. And finally, let me show you my 2 containers that I have. I call these my curbside containers because they're right by my curb, and this is full of the Sunfinity double yellow sunflower. This is probably my most favorite annual that I've ever grown for this Texas heat. Just non-stop blooms all season long from late spring until now, and it will continue through the fall. And it's just, nothing phases this plant, and it's just all continuous blooms all season long. The most beautiful blooms you'd ever see, and just look at that, performing in 104-degree plus heat every single day. Full sun, like it is in the shade right now, but it's very soon going to be. Now, I feel like something is causing this guy to fall over. I got a little bit of a rip there, I see. I don't know what caused that. I have a feeling something hit it. Maybe the garbage man or something. I don't know. I need to stake this up. But here's my other one. Now, even under stress, doing just fine, right? Just absolutely perfect. I definitely need to stake that up. Goodness, I just noticed that. But these blooms are just spectacular and all season long, and I just can't say enough about this plant. It's just amazing. Now, it does need some deadheading. It's not necessary to get new blooms. However, in my opinion, the plant looks so much better when you go in and deadhead it about once a week. Now, whenever you can, but you know, this is what the spent blooms look like, and I think it looks better if it's deadheaded. But wow, what an incredible heat tolerant plant to end my container garden with. Look at that bumblebee. The bees just love it. Hi, buddy. Oh goodness, hi. Yeah, what an incredible plant. I should tell you what's underneath it. I have scaevola planted underneath it, but I have found my scaevola have stopped blooming in this heat. Like this one is, but most of my scaevola are not. Again, a super heat tolerant annual that you can plant. And then I also have some, I think this is a profusion zinnia. The zinnias are struggling right here. I'm not gonna lie. They just are. But that's incredible yellow. Again, another bee doing absolutely beautiful. And that container is the exact same. So there you have it. That is my container garden tour for August of 2026. We have a record-breaking season for sure, especially in this last week. We've had record-breaking heat every single day this week, 104 degrees plus. We've had over 30 days of 100 degrees so far, and we've got many more to come. And these are the plants that are doing well. These are the plants that are surviving. And this is also how, okay, you guys hold on. One more thing to show you is this is Pillow Talk Gardenia. Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs sent me this as a teeny tiny little baby. Like, look at this. That's how tall it was before. Look at this. And these are how tall. All of these are brand new branches. It's doing wonderful here with morning sun and afternoon shade. I don't have any blooms. It's a pretty small plant. It's a baby. I had a couple blooms in the very beginning, but no longer. But anyway, Pillow Talk Gardenia, super heat tolerant, doing wonderful, growing like crazy. And then this is the polka dot begonia. Holy moly, this is doing amazing with morning sun and afternoon shade. And then this is Tradescantia zebrina, kind of coming through. I have a little bit of that begonia that I showed you earlier. Just cuttings of it were planted here. And then down below I have English ivy and Tradescantia, and you can't like even see that this is a 2-tier planter. So there you have it. I just want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. From the bottom of my heart, it means so much to me. Again, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. I have lots more things to show you, especially this fall. So many planting projects, so follow along with me so you don't miss any of that. And I hope that each and every one of you has a wonderful day today. Bye-bye, everybody.